So I used to work at Good Housekeeping. I was like an editor there. These always tested the best, you guys. And part of the reason is they're insulated. So Diane's going to go ahead and open
You're good.
that.
Thank you for waiting.
Oh,
yeah, you're good.
Duct tape for
Thank you.
But you can't crush them. They're uncrushable. So nothing is going to get broken or smushed. We love that. And then also, this one here, if you look down here, you put a cold pack in, and it will keep everything nice and cold. This is adjustable.
I was just about to say, I like that this one has the Velcro because you can do the thing where you pack a lunchbox and put it in here, or you can use this as the actual lunchbox.
Exactly, and not a lot of lunchboxes do that. This is Pottery Barn Kids at their finest, because you're able to say, like, hey, my kid wants the apple and the popcorn, and maybe an only light goes in there. I don't
you
know.
can decide what size the compartment's going to be because it's all Velcro. It's adjustable.
And also, if you're getting backpacks, sometimes those come as a bundle, so it's a great thing.
Oh, nice.
Okay, then when you're a little bit older, it's all about social currency of stamps.
By the way,
It looks so good. These are their new mini and midi lunch boxes. So there's two different sizes. That one's the mini.
this is so cute. It's so pretty.
Again, you get that try and squeeze this.
Talk about uncrushable.
You will never have a smushed peanut butter and jelly in your school. And they have the little carrying cases, because you'll see when your kids get older, my daughter's going into high school, they don't always bring like a lunchbox, you know, like their backpack into the cafeteria. And sometimes, like, my daughter's like, we'll throw our phone in there because it's cold, so it's fine.
That's so funny.
So it's just like an easier way to keep your food nice and fresh, to keep it from getting smushed. And can we talk about how adorable?
Also,
and it's Stanley, you guys.
My kids still love a snack for a long car ride, and so do I.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking even for work.
Yes.
Could bring these to work.
Lori, thank you.
Thank you.
And to shop these products and more, scan that QR code bottom left corner of your screen. And we'll be back tomorrow for more secret savings right here on ABC News Live. I'm Diane Macedo. The news never stops, and neither do we. We'll be right back.
Streaming ABC News Live.
A deadly mass shooting in Seattle. Good afternoon. I'm James Longman in London. It's Monday, July 27th, right now on ABC News Live. At least 3 dead, 4 injured after a gunman opened fire in Seattle, what police are saying. Here in Europe, extreme winds and dry air are fueling deadly wildfires. Over 300,000 people have been forced to evacuate as firefighters battle the advancing flames. Talk about a needle drop. Dramatic video shows 2 people base jumping off the Space Needle. We'll tell you what happened next. And Avengers Assemble, an inside look at what could be the biggest movie event of the year. ABC News Live starts right now. An act of horrific violence in Seattle. Now an urgent manhunt is underway. A deadly mass shooting at a food festival near the Space Needle left 3 dead and more wounded. A 2-year-old boy is one of the injured. Police have arrested 1 suspect, but another is on the loose. ABC's Alex Stone is in Seattle with the latest.
Oh my God.
Overnight, a frightening scene in Seattle near the city's iconic Space Needle. A gunman opening fire Sunday evening, killing 3 people and injuring 4 others.
I'm being told that the suspect may have an automatic weapon.
What happened here today at the Seattle Center was an unbelievable tragedy and a horrific act of violence.
Police say just after 6 p.m., fire crews responded to reports of a shooting during the Bite of Seattle Food Festival at Seattle Center.
Anyone have a small child tourniquet size? Small child arm tourniquet.
Vendors set up and families enjoying the evening when gunfire sent crowds running for cover. People sheltering inside of buildings around Seattle Center.
We were trying to run away, once we heard the shots. Everybody kind of just started panicking.
First responders rushing to the festival, attempting to revive 2 of the people who were shot. Both of those victims ultimately declared dead on scene. 4 other people, including a 2-year-old, were transported by firefighters to a local hospital after sustaining injuries. One of them later died. 1 suspect has been taken into custody. This video appearing to show that arrest. Police say another suspect is still on the loose.
That was also involved that fled the scene, and officers began an active search for that person. We believe that there were 2 people shooting at each other.
As we were trying to flee, we heard whoosh, like a big whoosh, right past our ears, and a bullet landed into the tree that was right next to us.
Ava Hendricks was at the festival with her family when the gunfire erupted.
It was very scary, and after the whole thing was over, and we were just waiting for the police to come, and we were just looking at each other how are we still alive? How do we make it through that?
Today, the vendors here are coming back, cleaning up their tents, their tables, and their food, all left exactly as it was at 6 o'clock Sunday night when the gunfire erupted. A pause in the fighting between the US and Iran, but concerns of a widening war still linger. The US hasn't bombed Iran since Friday. Iran has held its fire on US bases in the region since then too, but there are questions over why it all happened in the first place. Sources tell us Trump was ready to carry out strikes Friday until top officials warned another escalation could impact the Pentagon's depleting stockpiles of air defense interceptors. The president has denied any notion the US has a munitions shortage, and now attention is on Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu and Ukrainian President Zelensky. Tomorrow, both will meet Trump while in town for Senator Lindsey Graham's funeral. It comes after Ukraine attacked an Iranian ship in the Caspian Sea over the weekend, claiming it was carrying drone and missile components. ABC News foreign correspondent Matt Rivers is in Amman, Jordan. He joins me now alongside White House correspondent Karen Travers. Matt, are both countries still holding off on strikes right now?
James, it does appear that that's the case at the moment. We did get reports from both Jordan and Saudi Arabia that several drones were fired at each one of those countries, respectively, although Saudi Arabia is saying those drones came from Iraqi territory, not from Iranian territory, and the Jordanian military not specifying where those drones came from. I think it's safe to say, based on the information that we're getting, that those drones didn't come from Iranian territory, at least, concretely. And so, yes, I think generally speaking, we are seeing this pause continue between Iran and the United States. We have not seen reports of the U.S. striking inside of Iranian territory, and likewise, when the Iranian military fires at U.S. military assets in the region, they tend to talk about it. They tend to broadcast that information because they want to show that they're fighting back against the U.S. and they have the capability to do so. And so for now, James, at least for now, that's the key words there, this is holding.
Karen, what do we know about this apparent munition shortage? Is that the reason why the U.S. has held off on striking Iran?
Sources say it was part of the consideration. The president also spoke to Axios this morning, and he said that he would consider going back to what he called, quote, very strong military action if talks between the U.S. and Iran were to fail. And he also said he's not really willing to give diplomacy all that much time. He was pushed on how long he is willing to give the diplomatic talks talks at this point, and he said either it goes fast or not at all. We've heard this from the president before, threatening to go back to a major escalation of military operations if negotiations don't pan out. But we do know that the president last week, as he was heading into a meeting on Friday with senior advisors, was considering a major escalation. That, of course, had come after 13 nights of consecutive strikes by the United States against Iran. But there were a couple considerations there. One, the depleted stockpile of air defense systems, and also just concerns about trying to give diplomacy and negotiations some room to breathe and see if it could play out.
Matt, I think people at home might be surprised to hear that Ukraine is getting involved in all this, apparently hitting an Iranian tanker in the Caspian Sea. What do we know?
Yeah, and that Ukraine was so open about telling the world that that's what they're doing. They talked about their ability with these long-range attack capabilities, that they targeted what they said were ships transporting military equipment back and forth between Russia and Iran. We know that Russia has supplied Iran with military technology in the past, and Ukraine says that that's unacceptable and that they will use their long-range attack capabilities to intercept that. Iran, obviously not happy about that. They disputed some of what Ukraine said. They said that one of the ships targeted was commercial. I think the question is, how, if anything, does Iran respond other than just these strongly worded messages, diplomatically between both sides? But I think the risk there that this shows, James, is just how quickly these conflicts can expand from more localized conflicts to regional conflicts, not only in the Caspian Sea there, but what we're seeing between the Houthis and the Saudis in the Red Sea. Even though there is this pause right now between the United States and Iran, things remain very much on edge because of exactly the situation between Ukraine and Iran and other things like that.
Yeah, and Ukrainian President Zelensky is going to be at the White House tomorrow alongside Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel. Karen, what can we expect?
They're in town, of course, for the funeral of the late Senator Lindsey Graham tomorrow when the president meets with them. As of now, not expecting to see all of them together, but notable that this is the first time the Israeli Prime Minister is here at the White House since the war began in late February. But James, it's his 7th visit to the White House in this second term of Donald Trump. There are big things that they have to talk about. Of course, the war with Iran. The Israelis were really left out of that memo of understanding, the ceasefire from June that is, of course, dead at this point, according to the administration. But we'll see how he pushes the president on the Israelis getting more involved in negotiations. And Lebanon is likely to be a big issue because the Iranians, of course, have insisted that that has to be a big part of what they would agree to going forward for a bigger deal with the United States.
Big day tomorrow. Matt Rivers, Karen Travers, thank you. Well, the pause in fighting has given us all hope about volatile gas prices. Oil prices are moving lower, now trading around $84 per barrel in the US and about $90 per barrel worldwide. But it's not making a big dent in the price of gas. The average price of a gallon of regular sits at $4.04. That's according to GasBuddy, while the average gallon of diesel costs $5.25. Joining me now is Patrick Dahan. He's head of petroleum analysis for GasBuddy. Patrick, thanks for being with us. Is $4 for a gallon of regular gas just going to be the new normal now?
Well, certainly could, as long as we continue to see escalations and back and forth. And not just the U.S. and Iran that is so critical now. It's watching Houthi attacks potentially in the Red Sea. Of course, we also have Ukrainian drone attacks on Russian oil refineries. That is also equally as problematic as the U.S. and Iran situation. Those refining attacks, another one over the course of the weekend, are knocking offline critical refining capacity globally. And that's having more of an impact on the price of diesel than gasoline. Oil prices today so far down 7%, but the future of gasoline and diesel only down 2 or 3 cents. That's only about a 2% drop. And part of the reason for that is that refining continues to be impacted. So while the price of oil is down significantly, the price of what comes out of a refinery is down nowhere nearly as significant. And that's something to keep an eye on here, that even if there is de-escalation between the U.S. and Iran, if no new attacks emerge, we're still looking at Ukrainian drone attacks in Russia that have been very impactful in knocking off global refining capacity.
Yeah, so Patrick, on this pause, if this is real, how long do you think it has to be before people at home start to see a change? People at home start to see their gas prices coming down properly?
Well, probably more in terms of several weeks of no new escalations. I mean, the market is a little bit cognizant of that. You know, we had a ceasefire, we had a memorandum of understanding that didn't hold up after just a few weeks. So it would likely need to be longer than 3 or 4 weeks before the market really has confidence that whatever happens, whatever de-escalations are going to hold. And of course, this has been a very volatile situation. So motorists can't really get much guarantee on where prices are heading for very long, because the last time around, the ceasefire didn't hold for very long. So we're going to have to go longer before the market refines its confidence. For now, global oil inventories continue to decline as the U.S. SPR today falling to another multi-decade low. All of that's very concerning, but the market clearly more obsessed with the promise or potential of a ceasefire.
Yeah, and on that U.S. oil production, we've seen the U.S. trying to ramp it up. I mean, how much can the U.S. kind of mitigate the drop-off in the Middle East in its own oil production?
Not really at all. The U.S. continues to press records. About 13.8 million barrels a day are being produced in the United States. Now, Venezuela has seen a surge of over 200% in the amount of oil it's sending to the United States, but still, those volumes are below 1 million barrels a day. What comes through the Strait of Hormuz is generally 15 to 20 million barrels a day. So in the background, global inventories continue to decline at a fairly alarming pace, but the market clearly not as worried about that as it is looking at the prospect of a peace deal here. So all of these details aren't looking fantastic.
Patrick Dehaan, thank you very much. Brutal summer heat and very little rainfall are creating the perfect conditions for historic wildfires in France and Spain. More than 300,000 people have been evacuated from their homes and popular tourist destinations, and that number is growing. Authorities are calling this one of the biggest evacuation operations in Europe. Despite Spain being accustomed to forest fires in June, July and August, environmental experts say climate change has made summers hotter and drier. ABC News foreign correspondent Marcus Moore joins us from a shelter in Madrid housing evacuees. Marcus, tell us what it's like where you are now.
Well, James, it remains a very volatile situation outside of the shelter where we are, where the fire continues to burn here in Spain. And as you know, there is a massive fire burning in France as well. There were new evacuation orders issued here in Spain, and this shelter is one of the many that have been set up for the families who have been displaced. Several hundred people staying here, James, and many of them have been here in the shelter for the past 5 days. They haven't been home for 5 days because of the fires that have been burning here. When we talked to a number of people who said that they only had moments to leave their homes, that they got the alerts on their cell phones. They also had police going down their neighborhood streets telling them to get out right away because a fire was approaching. And so many of them have been here ever since, James, and really unsure on when they will be able to go back home. I can tell you we have heard from Spanish officials here who say that these next 48 hours here in Spain will be critical because the conditions are such that they feel like they can get ahead of some of these flames in these next 48 hours, and that's why it will be critical for them to try to extinguish.
Marcus Moore, thank you very much. After a 24-hour manhunt, German police say they've shot and killed the man suspected in a deadly attack during Berlin's Pride celebrations. Investigators say 21-year-old Abdul Balut, a German citizen with Lebanese roots, was killed Sunday during a confrontation with German police. They say Balut drove a van into a crowd at the Pride festival Saturday night, then stabbed several others with a machete. One person died, 29 others were injured. Germany's interior minister said the incident appears to be an Islamic extremist terror attack. Senator Mitch McConnell's office has issued a new statement saying the senator is working hard and keeping up with intense physical therapy after he was hospitalized after a fall on June 14. The statement also contains a doctor's note saying McConnell is recovering in rehab and hasn't been cleared to return to the office. It's the first we've heard from McConnell since a statement issued on July 12th, which said he was hospitalized after that fall, which left him briefly unconscious. The FDA says at least 98 people were infected with salmonella across 17 states. No deaths have been reported, but at least 26 people have been hospitalized. Eggs are the likely source of the illness, have been recalled at some stores in Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Arkansas, New Mexico. Salmonella is the most common foodborne illness in the US. People typically begin